How
Yeah.
I have heard your name pronounced like 10 different ways. I want to make sure we get it right. So, how do you pronounce your name? How do you
If you want
pronounce
to
it?
get it, if you want to get it right, you can just call me Justin. It's the most right way. But if you want to call me as my mom does, so it's Justinas. We don't have the J in Lithuanian. We say it yacht like it's Justinas. So it's but I answer to Justin, I answer to Justinas, I answer to all these various versions of my name. It's I know that they mean good.
I want to, yeah, that's interesting. I was talking to like Uba yesterday. I asked him because I your name came up obviously in the podcast we were chatting, and he said Justinas,
Yeah.
and I think I was calling you Justinas. Justin works, and so what's the right one that you? I
Yeah, it's like it's Justin and
Eustanis,
AS at the end, yeah, because
Eustanis.
yeah, very good. This is really good. This is
All right,
one
how
of
do
the
you?
better.
All right, we got your first name. How do we pronounce your last name?
It's Leveika. Le
Leveika.
Leveika. It's like right, like straightforward as it's written.
Justinas Leveika, welcome to the Bikes or Death podcast. For the first time, I should have had you on the podcast a long time ago. You've been on my short list, and I guess you just had to win the Tour Divide to officially make it happen. But right off the bat, man, congratulations! Like Mike Hall's record stood for 8 years. You will go down in the history books as being the guy to have the first official Tour Divide time beating Mike Hall's record. So right off the bat, man, congratulations on like a huge win and a great race.
Thank you, man. And yeah, hello, all you beautiful people listening to this. And thank you for having me here. And what a welcome, what a intro.
I mean, you've deserved at least an intro. I wish that I could have been at the end of the Tour Divide to give you a hug and a high five and uh, like last year, but we'll have to settle for a virtual hug this year.
I might need to come again then just to do that.
I'll be there. If
No,
you come back, I'll
no.
be there. No.
Oh man, we talked to that with Uba and everyone else. Like, I was like, I think I'm done with that for a while.
Yeah. Well, that saves me a question. What? Let's just get into that. Right? You I mean you brought it up, but let's just start there, I guess. Why? I mean, it's obviously like a financial, a time burden. It's a long, hard race. Like, what makes you say, it can wait a little while?
uh, Already last year I said that once is enough, kind of, and that I would probably never come back there again. And I added this little sentence, which was not out of my own pocket.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
That's a good asterisk to have.
yeah. So that saved, or like that made that I was at the start list this year too. Because I'm surrounded by some wonderful people who likes to see me in pain. Well, I don't know. Yeah, but no, they support me very, and fortunate enough, yeah, I got the budget to do this again, and that's how I ended up there, trying to fix all the mistakes I did last year and try to do one better, which happened.
Yeah, yeah, you didn't have very far to go. You got second last year, so you only have one place to bump up. But whoever helped bankroll your Tour Divide this year, I think that was money well spent. I think they're probably feeling pretty good about that investment.
Yeah, it sounded like that. It's yeah, it's crazy. Like then and the amount of messages I got after, I still haven't got through all of them yet. It's just been amazing.
Yeah. How is recovery going so far? Here, like 11 or 12 days after coming off the Tour Divide, how do you feel?
I've been riding my bike already back in US. So not much. It was just mainly for recovery reasons. It's just like you had to get the legs going and the body moving again. But yesterday I had my first interval sessions, and today I feel fine. So I think I'm yeah, better than last year. That's for sure. I really got back.
What like lingering pains did you have after Tour Divide? I mean, you can't go 2,800 miles and get out unscathed. What were you dealing with right after the race? Like, what was hurting you the most?
I would say saddle sores. That was the worst, probably. But but surprisingly, man, like I crashed a couple of times, so yeah, I had some bruises, but they didn't didn't give me much pain. So yeah, actually, I got out pretty. I mean, the bike that I put up, um, since it's been tested in few other races, and I tweaked with it and adjusted it more and more, and I really got into being as one with it, like really feeling really good on it. And I made quite a few changes in like yeah the shoes I wore last year. I think the last 4 days I just didn't want to take them off just because I couldn't get my feet back in, as that would be so painful. So this year I chose something way looser and way more comfy, not thinking too much about the weight and efficiency and the car and the sole stiffness. So that saved my feet. Yeah, arms, yeah, they are fine. I can click my fingers.
If you can
Um,
snap, you're good. That's
I
the
can
test.
snap, yeah, so that's not too bad. And no, really, I'm super happy about how my
That
body absorbed all this and go
that's
through.
amazing. That's amazing. Did you get a bike fit um on the new bike?
I have had few of those during my cycling years and have learned the principles, like what does what and how one thing affects the other. So I kind of like, and those two bike fits that I had, they had to adjust my bike just like millimeters. I know that in cycling, 1 millimeter can mean a lot. Like, so it's most common that they don't do very much if you don't have particular injuries from before, like your legs are the same length and stuff. So usually they don't do a lot if you don't have any pains and niggles as well. So so I have it kind of in the balance. So no bike fits. I just did everything on my own. As I said, yeah, I think I found a sweet spot where I feel very good on that bike, and that saved me.
While we're speaking about bikes, last year you rode a hardtail and this year full suspension. So do you think that had a pretty significant impact on, or do you think that had a lot less impact on your body through having a
Uh,
little more suspension?
I would say so, yes. I was very unsure about bringing full suspension bike to Turn White, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because at Tour Divide, things go wrong. And the more moving parts you have, the more things can go wrong. And last year I finished on I had a front suspension. It was a hardtail with front suspension, but I finished the race with rigid fork because it stopped working. All of the mud and stuff did the work.
Yeah.
So so I was like, yeah, probably the same gonna happen here too. Like I'm gonna clog the rear shock and the front, and
Yeah.
nothing's gonna work at the end or by the end. And but no, I finished with a full suspension bike, and it worked both rear and back. And now they have added, right? They have added the trail at the very end. Um, I mean, yeah, it's not gonna kill you if you're gonna come there with the rigid bike. You're not gonna die there. But I think I mean, at least I had fun riding it, and it made my day because yeah, last year we stayed on the highway, on not the highway, but like yeah, tarmac road.
Paved road, yeah.
Last what, 90 miles or something like that, 100 miles. So now this added section, it really makes the time go faster. At least you are occupied with other stuff.
Yeah. You have something to do. You have cactuses to dodge or rocks to hop over or something like that.
Oh yeah. In New Mexico, everything wants to kill you, or at least rip your clothes and rip your skin, because everything has thorns, they have spikes, they have, wow, what, like, yeah, not a single bush that doesn't harm you.
Yeah, not an easy ride on tarmac for sure. Well, listen, man, before we dive too much into the Tour Divide, since this is your first time on the podcast, I thought it would be appropriate for us to do a brief introduction to you. So, I mean, I'm curious, just like the basics, like where do you live and what do you do for a living when you're not riding your bike in really hard races?
You want a short story, or like how long can I?
It's your podcast. You could do whatever you want.
No, dude, I can't do this. But like, yeah, so I can, yeah, I'm pretty basic. So I originally I'm from Lithuania, but last 10 years I've been living in Norway. Um, so yeah, I'm 35. So yeah, since 25 I've been there. I came here for 5 years, but now it's a bit overdue. I'm a nurse. Last 6 years I've been a manager, like managing a long-term care home. But 2 days before Grand Depart was my last official day as a manager. I have downgraded myself back to being a nurse, ward nurse, because yeah, the bike racing stuff is taking off.
Yeah.
I just love it too much. So and I don't have any, yeah, I have nothing that holds me back right now. So I just want to do it while I can. And that was, yeah, decision that I took. And so
And is
now
that
I'm
to free up your schedule more? So if you're managing, you have a harder time like getting away, but if you bump yourself down, you have a little bit more flexibility in your schedule. Was that the thought process?
exactly, because yeah, when you're a manager, so yeah, live fast, die young. It's the way to describe that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been love, and nobody, like you when you're out riding and you come back and you just find your desk filled with stuff. And now when I'm on, I'm done with my shift. I just give give the report to the next nurse that's coming, and I'm done. I just change it, and yeah. And when you're managing, so you are at work pretty much 24 hours, because yeah, you can be called whenever. And the long-term care home is open 24 hours, so there's shifts, like day shifts, evening shifts, night shifts. We're open in weekends and holidays and all sorts of times. So it is a demanding job, and I have quite high standards also for the job I do, and I just didn't feel that I'm filling those standards any longer, because I was away also. Yeah, like Tour Divide, it requires at least 3 weeks, right? So you have to leave before, and then you need some days to recover. And when you're off for like 3 weeks, and it happens a couple of times a year, so it's just, yeah, not exactly. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had to use your medical training out in the field during a bike packing race?
During bike packing, actually, yeah, just on myself.
Yeah,
But
on yourself. Yeah, yeah, on
yeah.
yourself.
But when I was doing some stage races in Iceland, actually there was a guy who went over the handlebars and he landed unlucky, and one handlebar, just all like the end of the handlebar, got into his muscle, like into his thigh.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no.
and his friend was a bit fast to take that one out, and when he took it out, the blood started streaming.
Oh,
and
okay.
we were in the middle of nowhere, so that was a bit of a there I had to use my knowledge.
Did you save his life?
Like,
Maybe.
I think life would be too harsh. Like, he would have survived, but because of, yeah, everything, we managed to stop him from bleeding, and we got him in made him a shelter in the cover and stuff. And actually, and that's why the race which we did, you had to race it in pairs, because if something happens to one, so that the other one could either call the help or help you out of the station. So we stabilized the, because they were first pair, we were second pair. And as soon as we got him like in okay and covered with a emergency blanket and in a shelter kind of, and the help was on the way, so, and other riders were kind of coming, so we left. But we were sure that he's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he got he got back amazingly fast, because he'd been operated, I think, same on the next day, and like in a week's time he was back on the bike training.
Wow, amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
what a crazy story. And good thing you have some medical training. How
Yeah.
how were you introduced to the sport of bike packing, bike pack racing? Like, what was your introduction to this? Because it's such a niche sport. I mean, even within cycling, it's so niche. So, like, how did you find out about it? And yeah, why did you want to get into it?
It also would be a wild story, like wild or no. Um, so yeah, I haven't been like, so I'm 35, but my cycling career, or interest in cycling started when I was 27. So I started quite late age. I played soccer most of my youth, and yeah, um, I don't know, first adult years, or how do you call it? Like in this, yeah, while I was studying, so I played for the uni and stuff, and yeah, I played, yeah, semi-professional, maybe put that way. I got paid to play, so it wasn't that like, but the money wasn't big. It's just like,
Right,
yeah, just to buy bread. And then I came to Norway. Actually, yeah, so Norway got me into cycling, because when I got there, I started working as a nurse, and when you work as a nurse, train with a team is a bit difficult, because I was taking all shifts possible. I was just trying, mm, yeah, earn all the money possible. So I was taking day shifts, night shifts, weekends, everything, and it would be difficult to train with a team. Even though I found one pretty fast, I would still play matches, and individually I was strong enough to pull it off, but I just wouldn't have fun. As yeah, it's a team sport, and if you don't train together, so it's you kind of lose it. So at some point I was like, yeah, okay, that's enough. So, and Norway is a beautiful country, so I got myself a bike just to be able to see more in a shorter time.
hmm.
Uh, and yeah, because so yeah, so then I started cycling around, but it was more like cycling, and later, yeah, I think, yeah, in 20 yeah, maybe, yeah, 17 winter in 2017, or like when I was 27. When I was 27. No, sorry. Now I'm mixing up things. So when I in winter in 2017, so I don't remember how old I was. Anyway, it was like, yeah, 7 years ago was my first winter when I did the training during the winter. Before I would like, yeah, ride during, yeah, months when it's snow free, and would just do skiing or other stuff in the winter months. But in 2017 was my first winter when I was training on a bike, and that was to get on a team. Like, there was a mountain bike team which I wanted to be part of, but it took me a while to get the place, the spot in there. But then yeah, because I needed to steal Strava KOM so they would notice me, and then I got to train together with them and eventually made the team, and then yeah, that was in 2019 when I made the team and got to participate in those races and also that Icelandic race. And 2020 came and the COVID, and the guys who were running the team, they said we had enough because they had the team for a while already, and they would want to concentrate on family stuff, and then I didn't had a family, and that was my only first year in like proper cycling. um and because of a COVID, and me being a nurse, we were working crazy shifts, yeah, just to avoid possible contamination. Like, so we would be put in teams and we would work like 1 week day shifts and 1 week night shifts, and then we would get 1 week free. So when I got the week off, I just checked where's the good weather. I already had some packs, so I just, yeah, and that's like, yeah, you could keep the distance, social distance. So I would
Sure.
just pack food for 5 days or something and leave and just go off on for adventure. And that was amazing because Norway was empty for there was no tourists. I was in the most
Yeah.
like touristy places alone. All we had all them for myself.
Wow.
And so I like first week off, I did like, yeah, five days, and every day I did like 200 kilometers. So in miles, that would be 140, 150 miles maybe.
Something like that.
Um, yeah, but and that felt okay. Like I was still filming a lot, riding my bike, having fun. Next week off, I chose to do similar distance again, like 600 miles, but in 4 days. That went pretty fine too. So then I got like, yeah, how is it like? How far can I ride in 24 hours? Like to see what are those limits, right? So so I took a kind of, yeah, put a route to go, like, Norway is a long country, so
Mm.
luckily, so I just took and I had weekend. So I drove my car to the airport, like in Trondheim. This is not far from where I live. Left my car and then rode my bike for 700 kilometers up into the like Arctic Circle. And since I did it in a midsummer, so I wouldn't need to take my sunglasses for 24 hours. I mean, I it was a perfect day because it was, yeah, sunny, and the sun didn't go down. And when I reached Buda, which is like, yeah, 700 kilometers up north, there was this midnight sun shining into my face, and yeah, I took the flight next next day back home and went
Oh,
to
you
work.
flew back home. I love
I
that.
flew back to my car and went to work on Monday. So
Oh, that's funny.
that was my weekend. And this trip actually got some attention from one of my friends who I met in Norway, but he had moved back to Spain, and he was participating in Transpyrenees event, which is Transpyrenees, the like mountainous route, like 600 miles with, in feet, I don't know how many feet of elevation, like, but it was 25,000 meters of elevation, so it's 80, I think, 1,000 feet of, like, 80,000 feet or something like that. Yeah,
Don't
it's
look at me.
it's it's some. Yeah, I should have
I just
converted all.
Google it.
Yeah, I should have done the same. Like, so I would have it ready. But yeah, anyway, so it would have it has been a lot of elevation, and yeah, that's where I met Uba and all the other stars. That was my first race, and I had
The
lots
rest
of
is
fun.
history. Well, the history is still being written, but yeah, that was your introduction. What is it about you? Like, what are your strengths whenever it pertains to like ultra endurance bike racing? What do you think you do well that allows you? I mean, Tour Divide isn't your first your first win. It's not your first hard race. Like, you've had really good results almost ever since you got into the sport. So, like, what do you think your strengths are that allow you to be so competitive?
I think life have taught me some skills. I always been an active kid, but like yeah. So because I've in the teenager years, I had the work in a chocolate factory where I worked night shifts, like 5 night shifts in a row. So so
You worked
riding
at
at
Willy
night,
Wonka? No, sorry,
I
that's
was
stupid. That's
yeah,
dumb.
but dude, that was I never thought that I can like I love chocolate. Like that was my dream job.
Yeah.
But that was only summer job. So but still like it taught me yeah those nights they became on riding at night became or is okay for me. I just look at it as a night shift, right? I just like I clock in, now it's gonna be a night shift, and then I just ride through the night. Also, yeah, nurse being a nurse, it helped too because it's similar. Like I also have these night shifts and do that. Um, I've never been afraid of like working long hours, so in those COVID times we would do those day shifts or those a week of day shifts or and a week of night shifts that would be 12 hours a day, so a week would be 74 no 84 hours a week, so that's you learn to work in long periods of time. Yeah, all this I think it sums up like you have to have the endurance,
And then you
but
brought cardio in from soccer, I assume. I mean,
yeah,
your soccer
that's
players have amazing cardio. So, and that's an endurance sport too, where you're just running for hours on
um,
end, and then throwing practice and all that kind of stuff. Strong legs, strong lungs.
yeah,
So that's got to contribute.
exactly. And so you put all that together, so it starts to kind of make a picture that, yeah, I'm just I feel incredibly lucky to find a sport where I can combine all my like all my life skills, like
Yeah.
they they just meet there, and I'm pretty simple. I can't kind of learn to look or like stay positive in a stupid situations and I have yeah I'm yeah it's like I think yeah it's a very niche one like but I found I feel very lucky to find this where I can really benefit from everything I have.
Yeah. And I think we're lucky as fans and community members of this sport to have you as a part of it, man. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I'm curious to get your take on this, but like, Michael Hall is an absolute legend in our sport. He's been an inspiration to so many, and I don't think that will ever stop.
Right.
I don't, we can't erase his name from the history books, but we as a community, we've been following, and some of us have been chasing that Mike Hall record for the last 8 years. And you are the guy to have the first official time to beat that record. And I'm just wondering to get your like take and reflection on like what does that mean to you to be the guy that will also go down in the history books as the guy who beat Mike Hall's record after 8 years.
Oh well, man, it's a big honor to begin with. But I also had the pleasure to talk to Mike Hall's mother. Patricia has messaged me and I met her actually. I met her in Dales Divide. There's a race in England where Mike Hall comes from and where he used to train. So they have this race and that's where I met her. But and from I've met a lot of people who knew Mike, uh, and I always was curious and asked how he was, like how was his approach to racing and also yeah. So what from what I've heard, he loved racing. That's why he came back and back to Tour Divide. He loved that race, and he wanted this record. I mean, he wanted to set it and to improve, make like fix his mistakes, get a better run, get a like a mistake or as mistake free run as you can get on Tour Divide, and he set this time which stood for so many years. But again, I'm definitely not the first one. So Uba has beaten his record as well, right? So
Yeah.
we we were close to do that last year, and many guys has been close to do that years before. They were equal or a bit ahead or just behind him many days into the race, and would just get unlucky at the end, and he would ride away from them.
Yeah.
Uh, I also think like records are there to be beaten. I mean, records are something that attracts us, right? That gives this admiration to the sport, like something to talk about, something to chase. But they're always there as a carrot, right? So you just like stretch yourself more and more, and and I'm just incredibly lucky that I got this, and then now it's gonna be this carrot. I'm gonna be that
For some, yeah.
target for many, but just it's just one thing that I can be certain that this record will gonna stand for 1 year. That's it. I don't know. Like I'm really not. I can't. There's nothing promised that it's gonna be a long one because this sport. Look, man, what's happening with it? It's the level is increasing and by a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many fast guys and not only like not only us old ones like oh I don't know like I didn't felt like this before, but now I start to feel old suddenly like in this sport because before I thought like oh ultras is just like yeah 30 plus years old, right? Like we would start cycling ultras from 30 and yeah would last some years, but now kids are doing this. Like they don't
Yeah.
have a problem.
Eden,
Yeah, like look at that
14
kid. Like
years old. I think 14 or 15. He's been on the podcast once before when he did Trans North Georgia, and he just became the youngest person ever complete the Tour Divide, in the group start, I think. But
yeah.
actually racing it, I'm hoping to follow up with him and get his story too. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting. That would actually segues really nicely into my next question. But before I ask it, I just wanted to touch on what you said about Mike Hall. And a reflection that I had while you were talking is like what Mike Hall kept coming back for was to set a record. Like he was trying to beat the record. And so records are meant to be broken, and they're meant to push people, and they're meant to inspire people. And you beating his record is only a continuation of the story of his own story, right? Like, and so in that way, like you're honoring the legacy that he set. Like we've all been chasing that FKT, and that way it's just the natural like progression of a sport and life. And I think it's a beautiful way to honor him and not detract anything from what he's done. You're only continuing the example and the legacy that he left behind. So I think it's really cool, and I really am happy for you. Like I'm almost tearing up. Like this is crazy, man, and I'm excited to talk to you. I never got a chance to talk to Mike Hall, and that'll always be like something that like is like a regret, I guess, or it would have been nice if we got a chance to chat. But anyway, moving on to the question that I had is like, we've seen in the last 6 months 3 people beat Mike Hall's record. Lachlan, you did it with the media crew, and you can put an asterisk on his name or whatever, but he rode his damn bike along the Tour Divide and came in with a super fast time. And then this year on the Divide, you and Uba both were ahead of Mike Hall's record time. And I'm just curious, like, what you think about what's contributing to these faster times? Like, is this the new era of bike pack racing?
I think so. I think, yeah. So what I managed to set, right? So now when I've slept few days, right? So I've thought about it, and I have a couple of hours to shave off that time, and the conditions were far from perfect, right? So
Yeah,
so again, it just shows that this time is not the end, and it's just like uh, yeah, I think it's a start of something where it's gonna be like shaved every time, little by little, and
it's really
luckily,
going to come down to the weather. Almost, it seems like. I mean, because like you touched on it. It seems like every single year we're seeing, in the last few years, people are ahead of Mike Hall's record, and they're so close, and then weather will hit or a mechanical will hit, but
uh,
it's so close, and so with
yeah,
good weather, there's
exactly.
opportunity.
Like, but the thing is, like, it's 13 days, like 12 days. How to get a window of 12 days in the mountains of a good weather is
Yeah,
like you will probably not gonna get. Like, not 12 days. Okay, shoot for 10 days, but how bad those 2 days can be. Like, how, like, if it happens like for us in the toilet in the basin, you can lose 13, 14 hours just just because of a one rainstorm.
yeah.
I mean, and this is the lottery. I really like last year when we rode, that's what we talked the most with Uba and discussed about that. To set a record is easy. Like, if it would come down to riding your bike, just down to physical action, riding your bike, that record would have, I don't know, 10 days it would be probably.
Yeah.
But the weather, that's what, like, you can't control. As I said, like, someone asked me, were you like concerned where Uber is chasing you? Yes, a bit, but mostly I was looking at the sky all the time. Like, where is the weather? Where's the next storm? Where's my route going? Which mountain pass gonna be covered in snow now and turn into kind of unrideable one? So it was, yeah. So I think really that like like preparation and physical effort is like maybe 40%, just that much. Rest
Yeah.
is luck with the weather. Yeah, if you do grand depart, if you're doing this as a individual time trial, or so then you can kind of look at the weather and adjust it a bit, and your start time, or your, yeah, you can kind of look for a better window. But if you're doing with on a grand depart where conditions are as they are, then you're really affected by a lot of weather, and your time can be everything from 12 days to 20 days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It really is like the crux of the race, and it takes place over such a long period of time. And yeah, if you're
Yeah.
on Grand Apart, there's no way around it. You're gonna get hit with some weather somewhere along the way. I'm curious, like leading up to, take me back before Tour Divide. You're, the day before, you're in Banff. Um, you're there for the second year in a row. What were your goals going in? Like, I mean, we know how it ended, but like, what were your goals? Like, what did you really think was possible, and what were you shooting for on this year's Tour Divide?
I wanted to fix the mistakes I did last year. That was my main goal, and I knew that. Right, like, the first problems I encountered was, even before we left. Yeah, what was that? Like, yeah, Flag Ranch, where I had to hitchhike to Jackson, get the batteries, hitchhike back, and lost about 7 hours there, which I had to made up and catch Uba and Jens at the front. So that was 7 hours there. And then at least I knew that we lost 13 hours in a toilet in Great Basin. So that's already 20 hours.
20, yeah.
Then I knew about like yeah, so I lost the pedal, I lost this one of the spokes broke. I mean the spoke, yeah, it made a wobbly wheel, but nothing like it's not very much like time consuming or losing you. I didn't waste time fixing it, trying to fix it. I just rode on it. But yeah, that one pedal and gear issues at the end made New Mexico as a nightmare. I was really afraid entering New Mexico this year because it was like the memories from last year were not good. And so I think in total I lost about like yeah, at least a day, like at least 24 hours, maybe a bit more last year. So that was like and I yeah, finished in like 14 days and 15 hours or something like that. So I thought like, okay, if I manage to cut all this, it's gonna be under 13 days, like 13 days and some hours. And that was my kind of go-to thing, which I looked at, or like
Yeah.
I kind of had a plan estimate in my head.
Were you hoping to, I mean, was winning or beating Mike Hall's record something that you were hoping for or thinking that was possible?
Winning, yes, that was one of the reasons, yeah, yeah. But beating the record was a cherry on top, definitely. I mean, before going to the wide, when because you kind of have to make your mind quite early in the year, because it's yeah it's a big project. Tour de wide is
Yeah.
a big project, so you kind of need to make up your mind if you're gonna do it or not. And so I yeah sent that letter of intent and did all this, and then I was like kind of okay, gonna do it. And the closer we got to it, the more like the more messages you would get about the weather, and those were not good. Everybody promised snow, lots of snow. Nobody told about. I thought like snow, it's gonna be the old snow from the winter, which we'll have to go through. But nobody told about that. There's gonna be a new fucking snow falling in Montana. That was unexpected. And and yeah. So when I got all that weather information, I booked my. I really thought it's gonna be like winning time gonna be 15 days or something like that, because then I booked my flight super late because I really was not sure how long it's gonna take to finish. And
Oh, to leave. Your flight
yeah,
to leave home. Yeah.
yeah, flight to leave home, yeah, that's what I mean, like because I really thought it's gonna take time this year. It's not gonna be like
Yeah.
I'm gonna yeah. So then you kind of realize, like last year, we thought we made lots of mistakes, right? And you lost so many hours and because of various things happening. And then suddenly you see that just some weather changes can make that time you set last year a better time than you would do this year. So I mean, this also have hit me in the head a bit. Like that was a some thinking done around it, and then you kind of realize how yeah lucky we got actually with the weather and
How lu-
and the
how lucky you got.
yeah, that's true, because Uber what was like the 3 hour window, that
Yeah.
3 hours or 4 hours that he lost somewhere, and he got I was surfing the wave and he was in the wave.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like, I mean, yeah, based on talking to him, it sounds like you just caught that weather window. Just you got lucky and he got stuck in it, and that's bike pack racing, you know? So,
Yeah. Lucky or lucky, I mean, I still had to push hard to stay up. I mean, it's you can call it luck. Yeah. Okay.
well, you tell me your side of this story. I want to hear it. What was it?
Yeah. Nah, I mean, as I said, like there were some really tactical decisions to where I chose to push through, like not even stopping in certain places where I would have loved to stop, and rest inside and not on the side of the road for 15 minutes, but yeah, have a proper rest in bed. And many was, yeah, so this year my approach also was a bit different. I posted way less while I was racing.
I noticed.
So because yeah, on one side, so I was really in the game. Like I enjoyed riding it, and I had full hands of work to do. Like I was, yeah, you have to be kind of concentrated. Like you have to stay focused because things happening, right? I really really had to learn meteorology, like to see the weather just by looking at the sky and wind and all this stuff and how clouds are forming and all this, and then you kind of, yeah, you use that and you try to surf that wave. I knew that the window is not gonna be big, like, and like if it rains, so maybe you can get the away with the first 15 minutes of the rain, but like if it have been raining for half an hour, the road can suddenly turn into shit. And the same can happen. Like I was at one time after Butte, I went in the toilet. I thought like the road was kind of drying out. There was some sun through the clouds, and there was, yeah, it really looked like the road is drying out, and it might maybe needed an hour, and it would be way easier to ride on it. So I went into the toilet to sleep that hour and wait out. And when I got out, it was full snowstorm. So actually, the conditions were way better before I went to the toilet
No.
than it was after. So, but yeah, back to the tactics. So yeah, it was a deliberate decisions to push through some towns, some hotels and stuff just to get in front of that weather wave.
Yeah. Well, and, I mean, it made for some fantastic dot watching. You and Uba. I mean, Uba won last year. You came in second, and y'all have a nice, healthy. I don't know if it's a rivalry or a competition, but y'all have had some pretty epic battles in other races as well. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you about was because the interesting thing about the race is like you pulled a gap very early on, like going into Montana, like right around the U.S. Mexico, or sorry, the Canadian Mexico. God damn it, the U.S. Canadian border. Uh, Somewhere around there in Montana, you got a lead, and then you maintained about the same lead throughout the entire race. So. I'm curious about that initial push at the beginning. Like, was that a move you made? How did you get that initial jump on your competitors?
Mm. Yeah, a short comment about
Uh,
Uber is
uh,
my, yeah, I wouldn't be who I am without him. Like definitely, he's a master. Like I learned from him, and I would be a bad student if I wouldn't beat him, right?
the yeah, I was gonna touch on that too. I mean, it takes both of y'all. I mean, the reason why you were talking about I'm pushing through and I'm not stopping when I want to is because you have Uba right on your freaking heels, and if you didn't, he would
Exactly.
catch you. So like, it is that spirit of competition that made this year, I think, really special. At least part
Definitely.
of
I
the
mean,
story.
yeah, we are pushing each other to and dude, one thing for sure, which I know for sure, he's not gonna let me get anything easy. And
Nah,
one thing he is for sure, he knows for sure that I'm not gonna let him get anything easy
I love
either.
it.
So this is and but the best thing is like when we like you probably saw the video after the finish, right? When I had to
Yes.
wake him up.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, I still love that guy. He's he's still my, yeah, yeah. As I said, like I wouldn't be where I am without him because those fights with him, that's what makes and attracts maybe some people too. They enjoy this dot watching, they enjoy this fight happening, but they also people have to know that, yeah, we wish the best for each other and we really look after each other.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I think that even makes it better that y'all are friends. I mean, I don't know if you watch fights like the UFC or anything, but I'm always impressed where like you go into a ring and you punch each other in the face, and then you hug each other and you tell each other that you love each other, you know. But I think it shows great sportsmanship, and it just makes the storyline better because you really are pushing each other, so your stories are intertwined and you have each other to thank, and you owe a debt of gratitude for helping to bring out your best, because you can't.
Yeah.
There's a study that they did where they essentially, like, if you put people, like if you put a fast guy in a group of like slower runners, he will perform to the level of just beating the other people in the
Then,
field.
yeah.
But if you put him in a group of faster runners, he's going to run faster than he ever has in his life. And we are buoyed by the people around us. You know, the people around
Then,
us elevate us or they bring us down. And so, yeah, y'all are intertwined, and I love it. I've got to hang out with both of you at the end of the Tour Divide and know that you guys are genuine friends and care about each other. And I think that is even a better storyline.
mm. Yeah, it's very true about this study, and that's why I encourage always people to go and do and train with faster guys, because then you'll become faster. That's exactly what you just said there, because yeah, you have to stretch yourself up and not hold yourself back down.
Yeah.
But about the initial push and how did I got that gap, it's I don't actually I yeah, it wasn't like in like I don't know how to put it, like because I haven't been checking tracker before day 3, 4, or 5.
Oh,
I would
really?
just I would just get the kind of rumors from some dot watchers, right? They would just like, you're doing good, you have a gap, and I wouldn't kind of know how big that gap is. They would just, yeah, you're doing amazing and great job and stuff, and but I wouldn't be, yeah, wouldn't know at all like what's happening behind, because I was, yeah, because that's where the weather was. So I think the weather made me push. I definitely knew that the snow was gonna be. I needed to get as far south as I could by Tuesday. Like Tuesday was like I need to be the southern, like at yeah, the most southern point. Yeah, like
Southern.
something. Yeah, southern point. So. And that was kind of Lima around or Lima, it's called. Yeah, Lima,
I think it's Lima. I think you were right the
Lima,
first time. I
maybe Lima. Yeah.
think. I get words
So
wrong
that
too
was,
sometimes.
yeah, but that was my kind of target where I needed to be, or where I looked as a safe place where it shouldn't snow more. But even there, the snow was there, and what was the worst? I got there by like midday, and the snow started melting, and it made the roads unrideable. It became like this death mud, as someone called it, or peanut butter mud. So, but I think that was, but yeah, and I still saw Uber's bike at some places. I slept in Elkhorn Springs and I woke up before he did that. So I got out of, yeah, I was at the reception leaving my cabin key, and yeah, I saw the bike. So
Yeah, he
so I was,
mentioned that.
yeah. So it was like, yeah. But then I saw only the bike, and I heard probably that he's getting up and getting ready. And we met, yeah, one more time later in a race in a plateau, and yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. So you weren't. You said you didn't check track leaders until like day 3 or 4 of the race. Did you? Was that like kind of consistent throughout the entire race? Were you not really following track leaders and just
the
focused on your own race tactics?
it helps the most, because if you check the tracker, it's kind of similar to to what you just told about that research.
Yeah.
I checked. I remember very well checking track leaders before entering Salida,
Salida.
And there I had, I think 55 miles or something. I had a lead, a good lead, healthy lead. And that made me like really, I came into Salida, I sat down, I had a full meal. I yeah, really, really kind of, yeah, used the time or fucked around a bit too much. And
Yeah.
then I got to surgeons to the other side of the pass, right? And I really, oh, okay, now and I had to rush there because I used too much time in Salida. So I was lucky that I arrived there like 10 o'clock and they were still tidying up after the yeah, because they close at 9, and so luckily the people still were there. So I got a sleeping place and stuff, and then that's where I got like, yeah, Wi-Fi, and checked where Uba is, and then he was like miles behind me, just like, and I was like, how is this possible? Like, because yeah, and the other times is like when you check it and you see that he's close, so you kind of get this strong guys group, right? Then you sharpen up, then you become a bit faster. So maybe it would help to check it more often and see that he's close, and then you would be more focused and don't waste so much time in various places. But in general, so it also messes up your race because then you start thinking about him more than yourself. You kind of shorten up your breaks. I think it's way easier to chase than to be chased. So so that's what I try to do when I'm in a lead. So at least I don't check the tracker. I just try to ride as fast as I can, and I wouldn't be riding any faster even if he would be 50 miles or 20 miles behind me. So
Right.
it kind of wouldn't make a
So
difference.
as long as you're focused on, so when you're in the lead, your only focus is going as fast and efficient as possible. And if you're
Uh,
doing that, if you're doing your best, you don't need to worry about who's behind you because you can't go. You're already maxed out. So like if he
ex
beat you, they beat you. But if they beat you when you're maxed out, then fair play. But you're not playing
exact.
cat and mouse when you're on the front. It's just all the way out.
No, it wouldn't take you far. I mean, not in a race like Tour de Divide. You're not gonna fool anyone. You can you can try, but then you're gonna either explode if you're gonna go over your limits, or I mean, no one. I don't think that someone is sandbagging and you just like you pretend that you're going slower just to hit someone with a sudden increase in speed. I've been joking with someone. How does attack in bikepacking look like? Like, how
Yeah.
do you think that does? Like, it's nothing. Like, you don't suddenly increase the speed and go into the breakaway. It's not like
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
yeah,
Tour
you can't
Divide,
do
not Tour de France.
exactly. So I don't know. There's not much.
Well, you kind of took my next question right out of my mouth, but I was going to ask you, you've led and won races, and you've been the chaser and come in second, and you prefer being the chaser. That was the question I was going to ask you. So, why do you prefer like why do you like being the chaser versus the chased?
I think that's the psychological stress probably.
Yeah.
Because you put the pressure on even though, as I said, like I try not to write and not to do this, but still I'm not a machine and I'm not a computer. So I still feel that it's different. I can definitely say that I would definitely would prefer to be in a chaser's position than in front. Um, but luckily, again, luckily or unluckily, I had some very close races this year, like the race in Atlas and in the beginning of the year in Morocco. It was a crazy close one for 4 days, where I just also didn't need to check the tracker once because I could see the guy behind me, or I would see him in front of me. So that was the crazy one, and then I had another one very close where I yeah was happy and I managed to win the race, but by 14 minutes after like, yeah, 200 miles, something 200 miles plus race. It was, yeah, the guys were on the gravel bikes and I was on a full suspension bike because I was kind of, that was my preparation race and I was simulating a one hard day in Tour de Wide. So
Yeah.
I was doing it on my full, yeah, on the Tour de Wide setup. But that was also the whole day, very close racing, very, very like, yes, whip swapping the positions, and that made me more ready to what happened in Tour de Wide now. Like when I was in front, I could apply, or like I knew already I've been in that situation and that helped me a lot. So I kind of could process it way better. I could take the decisions based not on the rider behind me, but on what I needed at that time, and stay calm when I needed to stay calm instead of stressing and kind of, yeah. Because as soon as you start racing the others' races, you lose. You have to stick with your. I don't like this word plan, but yeah, you have to stick with it.
You don't like the word plan? Why? Because there's just so many variables, so planning is kind of futile. It's like it's
Exactly.
yeah, okay, all right.
Planning is for weak people.
Ah, the truth comes out.
No, no, but like I admire
So do
like
you just take what the race gives you? Like what is your overall approach to I mean nutrition, sleep, all when you're gonna stop, you're
no
shaking your
plan,
head, but
no
so
plan. There's
no
no plan.
plan.
No, I go with the
What the
flow.
fuck, dude?
I go with the flow. This is why, this is what. Yeah, this is exactly what some people told me after the race. Like they said that like with a plan you could have fucking done it in 12 and a half days easy. But plans just don't work with me. Like I don't like them. I feel like I feel like it takes the adventure away, and this is what I love the most. I mean,
Uh,
planning is planning really, I feel really that it does take adventure from me. Like then I know I and already this year, dude, for I could most of the track I could ride from memory. I wouldn't need navigation
wow.
because I really and even I got some funny messages on Insta, and one I got one message and they said like, oh, we met last year on the course, and I checked the photo and I said like, yeah, just before entering the basin, just after the tarmac, and she said like, dude, this is crazy. How can you do this? And I really like some people I just memorize. Like I really remember the bases, the places. I have this photo memory, so I'm not necessarily gonna remember things which I'll hear, but if I'll see them, I'll definitely remember.
Yeah. Oh,
And that
all right,
helped me a lot.
let's unpack this a little bit. Like what so you're preparing for Tour Divide. How much you have to do some planning and research like,
The
like
only
where
oh,
resupplies are. You have to
that's
decide if you're going to take a sleep kit or not, if there's going to be places for you to stay, like
yeah. So
what
sleep
level of
kits.
preparedness do you have going in and what are you leaving up to in the moment?
Yeah, good question. But like, yeah. So I need like I when it comes to the kit, so I kind of had to make sure if wouldn't find any hotel that I would still survive. So if I would need to sleep 12 days outside, 12 nights, 13 nights outside, so that I would, and the temperatures would be from everything from what is, when does the water freezes in Fahrenheit?
32. 32.
30, so it's everything from like 32 up to 100. Like, yeah, when you come above 80, so you don't need
You
to
don't, yeah.
worry much. But like, yeah, everything around 32 and below, I would still be able to survive, to function. And the other thing, that like, that this period of time will where the temperatures are that low, it lasts maybe 6, 7 hours. So you kind of can adjust your sleeping time, right? You don't need to sleep when it's the coldest. You can stay active when it's coldest, and then it's not that cold. So you kind of can sleep either early in the evening when sun just got down and there's still plenty of warmth, or you can kind of push it later in the day and have a nap under the bush. So that's where the flexibility comes. That's where less planning, less stress, and like how many plans that you have to make, because through the way it fucks up your plans big time, and that's what it does and loves to do the most. I mean, yeah, I really
So
take off
almost
my
even
hat.
like even like mentally I could see that being an advantage because if you have plan A, B, C, like you're going to need five different plans, right? Because they could throw
Exactly.
anything at you. But then let's say none of your planning works and so mentally you had all these plans but they don't work and so mentally you're just like, "Well, what do I do now?" And so
No,
I actually can
exactly.
see like there's a little bit of a freedom in like just okay, there is no plan. I know that I have what I need
Yeah.
for contingencies and
Mm.
here we go.
I would always have emergency food. Like I would always have at least, especially after last year, basin, I would have 2, 3 thousand calories worth of food with me at all times, and I would above all try not to go empty on water. Like definitely in places, and this is where last year. I mean, I see it so clear it now that it's such a huge difference for rookies and veterans. Like if you've done it once, if you've been there, if you've been out there, wow. And if you're if you're able to remember, like if it hasn't been many years in between, and in my case, it's just like last year. So even when I like you asked about the preparation, so my whole preparation was I went through Strava files from last year. Like that's it. Like I even just by going through them, I would remember where I stopped, why did I stop there? What the shop was? What did they have at the shop? Like, what can I expect if it was a petrol station or was it a grocery store or whatever? If that was a town, yeah, because in Silverthorne last year I slept in a toilet in petrol station where there was a hotel on the other side of like 50 fucking meters further down the road. There was a hotel, and I opted to sleep on the cold floor in a petrol station in a toilet. That was a really bad decision. So there was like lots of those which I improved or like looked at and really made up a lot of time, I think. Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting the different approaches between you and Uba. I mean, your times and y'all are so competitive, but y'all probably could not be any different in terms of your approach to how to do it, which I love because one thing I talk about on the podcast all the time is like this really is for anybody. You could be young, old, male, female. You could, take a scientific approach, or you can say, hey, I don't need a plan. I'm going to lean into the adventure. But that's kind of the beauty about endurance racing is over, a 2 week period. Endurance is a great equalizer. And
Yeah.
it's really neat to see two very different approaches being, somewhat equally successful on these like ultra races.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I told you before, like I mean, I'm amazed. I admire his approach, and because I know how much it takes, and like the results are clearly there. I mean, he's one of the most successful ultra cyclists up there, and yeah, amazing. Is But there's yeah, not no but there he is, and that's it. Like, but next
Yes.
sentence.
Next
So,
sentence.
so this is what I wanted to say that yeah, when we were riding first day when we were approaching Fernie, I think, and he pulled over to me like as we were, yeah, me, Lorenz, and Uba in close distances, and he was like, "We are approaching Fernie 15 minutes earlier than we did last year." And I was like, dude, no idea how much time we used last year, what is the time now, and how much faster or slower we got there. It's just like
Yeah.
information that I don't operate with and don't use.
Yeah.
But so it's exactly shows like the differences, but they are great. And they just show, yeah, that there is no one recipe for the good
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah. And there's no one recipe for the good cake, but you had the winning recipe this year.
Yeah.
Uh, what are some of your highlight moments from this year? Maybe some new experiences. I mean, this is your second year, but maybe you saw something during the day that you didn't get to see. But what are some of like the highlight moments and memories that you're gonna take with you from this year's Tour Divide, other than obviously beating Mike Hall's record? Um,
I think I was when we entered that when we entered New Mexico and that trail, the new part. I don't know. Yeah, you probably heard and saw the
yeah,
changes in
the
the route. So
Continental Divide Trail was added.
exactly, yeah.
Sections of the Continental Divide Trail were
hmm
added. Yeah.
But that one, just when you just entered New Mexico, that was quite a long one, 34 miles, I think, or something like that. There's quite a lot of miles
Yeah.
on a single trail. And I had to stop in the middle, and I was just like, because that also has happened to me before, that I fucked up my routes and I had the wrong ones, and oh, my Garmin would get me on something there where I shouldn't be, and, and that's because I was a bit in a panic because I was riding it and I was like, "Whoa, like, this can't be this good. I mean, this can't be it." Because we were riding on a ridge, like on a cliff, and it looked amazing. It was like morning sun, like a sunrise. I enjoyed it so much. So yeah, the new parts, I really see them as a improvement, not
Yeah.
something like that takes things away from the route. And another thing, I mean, it can't be not said, like not noticed, is the dot watches. Like, things in US, they are different. They are definitely different. Like, the culture there, and I don't know if it what it does that it is like this, but amount of people alongside the route and in strange and crazy places during the race is just like incredible. Like, I really you it's crazy what it does with you. Like, you really feel like everybody knows this race. Like, you stop at some at petrol station and people comes in, are you Justinas? I'm like, yeah. Oh man, we are so glad. We are so happy for you, doing amazing. And it just happens, like, or like you're leaving a town and some dude pulls over with the car, or like with a cyber truck. Man,
Oh,
I
I
would
saw
have.
that video.
Oh
He was
my
filming you
God.
or you were filming him.
Yeah. Crazy shit. This is like, first of all, a car that I would never see here in Norway because they are not allowed here. And another thing, like, that guy who sits in this huge spaceship is like a dot watcher who came on the road to see me passing. So it just makes just like, wow, I'm honored. Like, they make you feel important, like you big.
Yeah. You are
Stop.
important. You are important. Yeah, you're a big deal, man. You can't hide any longer. The word's out. What is the response been from last year versus this year? Last year you come in second place. How many podcast interviews, how many articles, how many sponsors reach out or whatever it may be versus this year you win and you beat Mike Hall's record.
So it's like,
Goose egg, double goose egg.
it was last year. It was, second. Nobody cares about seconds. It's like, everybody remembers only the winners. That this is what I know from all the football or soccer tournaments that I played. Like, this is usually how it goes. Because I even have played in tournaments where only the first place would get prizes. Like even the second and third, they would just be like, "Thank you for coming and goodbye." So nothing new about that. And so yeah, but I mean, most of the people also saw the reasons why I came second last year, and I couldn't kind of offer a proper fight for Uba and push him.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have not even maybe. I mean, if I would have had a bike that would function, I maybe would have pushed him that much that he would have crushed the record. I mean, yeah, not crushed, but like at least beaten
Beat
it
it.
by an hour or something. And because what we talked, like if you have a press, you kind of perform a bit above your expectations. So, but yeah, it just went as it went, and as I said, like I'm really lucky to have the people around me. So that's the same people that stayed with me from last year, and they're still continuing the partnership and allowed me to get there and do it again.
Yeah. It was do you remember the first time we met? It was probably like 80 or somewhere between like 60 and 80 miles from the end of the Tour Divide. I was posted up in a gas station taking photos, and you never know what to expect. Like I did not expect you to stop at all, but you rolled into the gas station with the biggest smile on your face, and then you rolled up and you're laughing and you're taking your foot off and showing me that the pedal is not attached to your bike, and you were like just grinning ear to ear, like you couldn't be happier. And that's something that I really appreciate about you, and I think is interesting is like, and I'll ask you this question, but it seems like you absolutely love being out there. You know, even if your pedal's flying off and things are hard when you're coming in second place last year, like you really love this.
I do, man. I told you this is incredible that I found out something that fits me in all possible ways. Like I really feel like I belong there. Like I really enjoy these challenges. I love sorting out the problems or the shit you get yourself into. Like during the CDT, that section, I ripped my backpack and I lost my passport, and I had to hike back like I don't know, a mile or something to find it on the trail. And that was also kind of a bit of a yeah, scary situation in some ways, but also you kind of okay, all I can do now is just like hike back, and it must have fallen out on the way. And it's luckily a book that is big enough to be seen if it's on a trail, and it's not gonna be blown
And
away
heavy
by
enough. Yeah,
and
yeah, you took, yeah,
yeah,
heavy enough not to get blown away. Yeah, exactly.
exactly. So I found it, and yeah, I just lost some time, and that's it. But that's the thing. Like you got your pedal fallen off, right? So what you gonna do? Like you have a couple of ways out. One is to get it fixed at the nearest possible bike shop. But if there's no bike shops, oh well, you have to live with it. Like learn yourself to live with it. And the adventure side, I just love these adventures. Like where are they gonna take you?
Yeah. I asked you the question earlier what you felt your strengths are, and I'm just an outsider looking in, but it seems to me like your approach, like I want to, the term I'm thinking of is like happy go lucky, but I think that's a little dismissive. But you just have a good positive attitude, and also like being open and really leaning into the adventure and not getting upset or discouraged when things go bad. Like that might be your superpower, you know?
Probably. I'm not gonna say no because yeah, I've seen people that yeah, I've seen people throwing in the towel way too early. Like
Hmm.
and yeah, like ultra cycling and unsupported ultra cycling is a very special beast. Like you can have the strongest legs in the field, and but if you don't have a mindset, the legs doesn't matter. Like you're not gonna if you can't push on day 2 or 3 because your mind is not there, then you can be as strong as you want, but nothing gonna help. And like then the turtle comes from behind, right? Because he just like keeps going, keeps having fun, and just like
I love it, dude. I love it. Well, you're about it's actually crazy to me because you're about to in like 3 days Bright Midnight, which is your own ultra bikepacking race that you're the race organizer for, is kicking off, and it blew like I run events and thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna prepare for a Tour Divide, I'm gonna go race it, then I'm gonna get back in time to run my own event is just like mind blowing. You're a crazy person who's obviously loves adventure, and maybe you didn't plan that very well. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. So, Bright Midnight. It's in its second year. We're about to see the second running or biking of the Bright Midnight event. So, it's a relatively new event. Like, why don't you just introduce like what Bright Midnight is, and why did you want to put on this race?
yeah, thanks for mentioning it, man. But yeah, so I wouldn't be able to do this without a team, right? So I'm lucky to have my sister, my brother-in-law, and then yeah, some other people helping me out while I'm out there doing the tournament. But because again, I'm a king of chaos. Like I love chaos, but I wouldn't be able to organize a race with all the chaos I have around me. So I
Yeah.
have to have some people helping me out with the plans, the thing named plans. Um, Bright Midnight is an idea that came out of when I crashed out of Atlas Mountain Race few years ago. I was back at home and I was like, yeah, it was at that time because of a COVID and stuff, it was moved from its original slot, which is in February, to November. So it was dark and cold, and I was with a few fractured ribs, and I couldn't ride my bike, and I just like dreamed about the sun and I was going through the races I've done. And in order to be fast during ultras like these ultras, you have to ride through the night. And there was one question you asked about Tour Divide, and maybe there were some sections that I haven't seen last year, which I've seen this year, right? And there
Yeah.
are, and it was amazing. I rode through a national, but like section from Grants to Pytown last year was just a shit. Like I just saw the road and nothing else because I was doing it at night. And now this year I rode through that national park. Whoa, those walls just like right next to you. I was amazed, and this is the idea behind the Bright Midnight. It's like you the name suggests that it doesn't get dark. So no matter the pace, you are the fast guy, you're a slow guy, do whatever you want. You're not gonna miss a thing. Like okay, it's gonna get a bit yeah, not dark but darkish. Like it depends on the
Yeah.
clouds at the evening. But you're probably still gonna be able to see everything. Like and you need lights mainly for the tunnels that are there. And that's how the idea came that I wanted people to show the people the beautiful Norway that I have lucky to be to ride around in my backyard of
Yeah.
my training routes that I actually just connected and found out that that's like a golden standard in ultras, that is just like 600 miles, which is doable in a weekend if you race it, and doable in a week's time if you tour it. So it was just like uh another thing which I really wanted to do is like to give back to community, because we are who we are, but we also need to get in the new ones, like new members, to accept them, to show them, because otherwise, where it's gonna go? Like we form it. Like I don't know how to, like, maybe it's too much to say, but that we form it, but we do it in a way, by being examples, role models, and whatever
Yeah.
influences.
Well, it's
And
like, I mean, you are setting an example and you're inspiring people. And then, like, I mean, me through my podcast, I like reach a lot of people, but I created an event, several events. And the purpose is exactly what you're talking about is like, okay, inspire people, get them excited, but then give them opportunities like, okay, and here is something you can do. And so, like, and we all need to do that as community members. Like, if I'm in Texas, if you're in Norway, like, we need people to stand up and champion the sport that we all love, So I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but it sounds like that's kind of same
it's
vein.
yeah, you described it very well, man. And that is the main, or the second main reason to do this race, like to give back. Cause I hitchhiked a lot when I was young. I didn't had, or like I also loved this strange way of traveling, because you get to meet people from those places who can give you best advices, and you wouldn't need to pay a thing for it. Like, so it made me. I hitchhiked around Europe. I hitchhiked from San Francisco down to Los Angeles, and did some hitchhiking. And the thing which with hitchhiking is like, you have hitchhiked, so you have been taken by cars and given a ride, and now it's your time to pay back. Now I have a car. Now I take hitchhikers every time I see them. So I've been to races. I've been hosted amazingly by people who organize those races, and I really want to give back this amazing feeling which you get when you come to a race, and especially if it's your first race. I just want to make this as good memory as it can, so that you would get to another race, you would get hooked on this. Like,
Yeah.
we need this, we need people in the sport, otherwise it's gonna, if we're gonna keep it closed, this would be a very big topic. If I would go like, I would open the big can of worms, because this is where the media teams come into picture, right? Like, how much, if not those, people wouldn't get to know about this, right? Like, then we would be like a closed sector, like people
Right.
like, and this wouldn't be good. We have to be open. We have to show that this is not the Hunger Games. We're not trying to kill each other. We still care about each other and love each other and want the best for each other. And yeah, and how you can do that. Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's one of the things is by leading by example. I don't know how to tell it.
I think that's exactly right. I think it's it we are I hope we're a growing sport. I think we're, by all metrics, it looks like, but the sport of bike packing and bike pack racing is only growing and gaining in popularity. And I think the best things we can do as community leaders is take a seat at the table and be a leader. And
And
there's many ways to do that, but yeah, step up and set the example that you would
no,
like to see replicated in the community that you love and are passionate and are familiar with.
absolutely.
With Bright Midnight, I'm not super familiar with Norway. I assume it's not daylight all the time. Is this just like this only, I would assume, happens like at a certain time of year, maybe when the lighting is just right? Like, what's the situation there?
Exactly. It's like midsummer, so it's about from end of like middle of June until middle of July. Or yeah, a bit further. There's this, like, the further north you go, the longer the days gets. Like, I don't get to see sun at the middle of the night here, but like 200-300 kilometers north from me, or like now a bit more in the Arctic Circle, you get to see sun at the middle of the night. Like, if you are outside at the middle of the night, the sun is shining.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy. It's like
It is
you,
crazy. But it's also
yeah,
like, it sounds super cool. Like, I've never
it
had that experience. I know in Alaska
no,
it has that too, like where it's, daylight all day and other
yeah,
parts of the world.
Exactly.
How
It's not just in Norway, no.
Yeah, yeah. How challenging is this route? What's the difficulty level?
Yeah, so like the route is like 50-50. 50% is gravel, 50% is tarmac. But the thing with Norwegian gravel, it's like champagne gravel. The gravel is so hard packed, and you people could I want to say that like they could do it on the 32 tires, like 32 millimeter tires on the road bikes. But so that they wouldn't do that on road bikes and 32 millimeter tires, I added some sections to make it an adventurous race. So you would need to push your bike a bit. Not as challenging as the one that could have bypassed the rock falls and the Trollstigen, but they still would require you to have at least 40 millimeter gravel tires and gravel bikes. So it's challenging, and there's quite a fair amount of climbing as well. Because when you're up in the highlands, the route takes you like if you so Norway is a very long country, and in southern part it's quite wide as well. I'm kind of in the middle, and then we get like the participants, they get the I would say one of the best boxes of chocolates because they get to see the highlands of Norway, where it's like a bit different nature. You're kind of constantly at certain elevation, which I don't know in feet, but it's like about 700-800,000 meters, where vegetation is low, and there's like summer farms where there's sheep and cows, and then you get to the fjords, and when you get to the fjords, it's the roads become a bit more demanding because they get down to the fjord and then up to this year's highest point is 1,800, like about 19. That is about 8,000, 9,000 feet. So it's relatively high if you go from 0 to 9,000 in one
Oh, big
climb.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, that gets you. So there are some climbs that last for about way longer than an hour. So it's a gives you a challenge, gives you, and some of them goes really into some wilderness. Like you get to feel that you are little and somewhere in huge nature. Like you see those fjords and walls going out of the water straight up to the sky, and then you see that shit, there's the road. And that is the road that some participants will have to take. So it's like water is not an issue. There's like lots of running water and all that is drinkable. So the issue can be if you didn't resupply properly or forgot to, because Sunday and the regions in general, there are not so many 24-hour open shops. There are
Is
certain hours that they don't like to work at, or they don't, yeah, people just plan their stuff, and that makes them to, yeah, they close it.
it sounds really cool. What I'm gonna do after I hop off this chat is I'm gonna hop on Google Flights and start seeing how much flights to Norway cost. And I was looking at the pictures and everything, and it just sounds beautiful. It sounds like a beautiful
Dude,
region of the world that I'd love to see. But
I would love
it's
to have you here, man. I
but
mean,
you know how
and
it is. It's expensive to travel to other countries,
yeah,
and the time and
dude,
everything. It's like
oh, good that you brought up this up. I mean, everybody has this myth that Norway is super expensive, right? Um, After 2 years in Tour de Bike, I can tell you, no, it's not. Fuck, man. I save money here. What I've spent in Tour de Bike is crazy.
I believe
So,
that.
yeah, and because I chose to do that, and there's another thing. I chose to do this race in this little town called Tolga, where I live, because of allowing people, like, we're gonna have like breakfast, right? So I'm gonna run a breakfast like all these days when. So most of the participants they are coming on Friday, so the start of the race is on Sunday. So we're gonna have breakfast all these days, and we're gonna have a pasta party on Saturday. So and flights to Norway. I flew from LA to Norway, and I paid $350. So,
Oh
dude,
my
don't
gosh.
don't tell me that it's so. If you get the flights for like 700, like $1,000, right? And then you could like you take a train to Tolga from Oslo, and it's very convenient because the train station is just right under the airport, and we have a public transport that works, not just like where you have to have a car to get
Yeah, I don't
anywhere.
even know what that's like, but I've heard about it and I hear it's nice.
Yeah, it's a crazy invention that poor people use. Yeah,
Uh,
but anyway, so it you can like you can really make this race as cheap as anything else. Like, yeah, I really I kind of try to I'll do this a myth busting project
yeah,
where I'll show how actually it is to bike pack in Norway and how cheap you can like it all depends on your choices. Like you can of course make it as expensive as it can be,
right.
but like anywhere else, like in US as well, I could have saved lots of money by going to grocery stores and buying gallons of milk instead of like instead of small packs. I'm impressed, dude. Like you sell things in quantities, huge quantities, but single pickles, that's what you can get in all petrol stations.
Oh, y'all don't have that other places?
No. So that's amazing. I love that. I
Yeah,
mean,
good, good. Well, I got a guy coming to buy my car. I have actually, so the car that I picked you up in from the end of the Tour Divide, and I don't remember if you were in the car whenever we went through the mud getting out of Jeff Sharp's ranch, but anyway, that car, whenever I was drove home from the end of the Tour Divide, I got 14 miles from home and my engine blew up. It ran out of oil and my engine seized. And that car's been sitting in my driveway ever since then. And a guy is coming to buy it for $500 here in like 10 minutes. So I'm going to go sell that car finally.
so look at that. Yeah, I think bikes are worth more than the car, huh?
Oh yeah, my bike's yeah. Even my new car, they're still worth more than my new car. But man, it's been a pleasure to chat. I really I'm so happy. I've been wanting to have on the podcast for a while, and I'm glad we finally did it. But huge congratulations to you on just an amazing race, and also like being the guy that finally chased down and stayed ahead of Mike Hall. A lot of people chased down his dot, but they couldn't stay ahead of it, and you
No,
stayed
yeah.
ahead of his dot all year on a clean run, no reroutes, no anything. So a very clean run, and I couldn't be more happy for you, man. It's super exciting.
Ah, man, thank you so much. It's pleasure to hear that and pleasure to be there. I'm honored that I've
Yep.
got an invitation. And wow, what an I don't know. The time flew, so I don't know how for how long we've been talking, but that's I had lots of fun. Yes.
Well, me too, buddy. We'll do it again. We won't wait so long before we do another one of these. All right.
Cool. Just let me know, man.
All right. I will. Bye.
Bye bye.